This is Monty G with the radio podcast programs. Today, we are discussing the daunting matter of the governmental system of America, with the largest issue inhibiting our governmental and political process, our debt and our deficit. The essential question today will be, is our government and economic system broken? Well, yes. Our current debt is $17.4 trillion, and it increases about $2.4 billion per day, and our current deficit is about $680 billion. So, what exactly is debt? Debt is something, or in this case, money, that people owe to someone, or in America's case, the money that they owe to other countries. And what exactly is deficit? Deficit is the amount by which something, especially a sum of money, is too small. In other words, the deficit of America is the amount of money that they are spending in which they don't have. So, how exactly did America get into so much debt? Well, America wrapped up the amount of debt that it has because when it was unable to pay its bills in the very beginning, it borrowed money from other countries in the form of bonds to pay off this already owed money. This in turn just increased America's future debt and current debt. The reason that America's debt does not go down is because America pays off its debts by borrowing other countries' money. Overall, America is seemingly in a never-ending loop of racking up more and more debt. Now that we've described the current issue with America's political and economic process, we're going to go to a segment where we look at a current event that actually involves the issue at hand. So, with the article of "The House Approves Higher Debt Limit Without Condition" opens with an introduction to what Congress inevitably decides, to raise the debt ceiling until 2015. It then goes on to say that the vote relied indiscriminately on the Democratic members of Congress voting yes on the issue. The end result being the first debt ceiling that's been raised since 2009, with 208 Republicans voting yes and only 2 Democrats voting no. This debate took nearly 1 year to decide, clearly wasting our nation's time and resources on a subject that should not even be a problem with America in the first place if they could just use their money responsibly, if not correctly. The main reason that the debt ceiling took so long in the first place and did not in fact even get resolved, just pushed off until 2015, was because the two parties, Democrats and Republicans, could not decide on a budget for America that would fit their needs, not the public's. In turn, a large portion of the debate about the debt ceiling was the two parties bickering about each other's needs being more pertinent than the others. Not only did the debt ceiling take a very long time to decide on, but it also did not truly solve the problem, for America is still in debt. Indeed, it was decided not how to pay off the money that we owe to other countries, like China and England, but how we can withstand to borrow more money from those countries and in turn just push the further economic collapse of America further and further into the future. Now that we've heard a current event about the essential question of today, is our governmental process broken? Why, yes, it is, obviously. But we're going to go on to some possible solutions that maybe will help America and their broken economic system in the future. So, there are 3 truly viable solutions to the America's debt problem. However, some of them are less popular in the eyes of the public rather than others. One such example of this would be to raise the taxes across the board. Most citizens, when they hear the words raise the taxes, will groan to themselves, for a raising of the taxes means that you as a citizen will have to pay more money in the near future. This in turn means less money for you and your family to spend. Although raising the taxes seems grim, it is one of the simpler of the solutions to America's massive debt. This is true because if taxes were simply raised a mere 10%, it would increase the revenue of America by billions of dollars. This money then could be used to strictly pay off America's massive debt, which in turn could help lower either the massive debt that America currently has or help lower America's deficit so they won't go into further debt. Another solution to America's massive debt issue that would be viewed more optimistically than raising the taxes by the public would be to make actual spending cuts on America's budget. This way, America is not spending as much money, therefore lowering the deficit, therefore lowering America's debt. One area specifically that America could drastically cut their spendings towards would be their military. For right now, America spends $683.7 billion on their military. This is about 20% more than America spends on any other item in the budget. Education, social services, anything. Not to mention that America also spends the most money out of all militaries in the world. All in turn meaning that we could cut our military spending by roughly 20% and save about $1.3 billion. That could be, in turn, go to pay our debts that we have in other countries, and we'd still be putting the most money into our military. This seems like a very logical, reasonable answer to America's massive debt. Another final third way that America could make some revenue and help lower our national budget and or deficit would be by creating jobs. For the less jobs that there are, the more that the government has to pay in unemployment fees like welfare. That means that the more jobs available, the less money that the government has to pay in these fees like welfare and such. And in turn, they can, instead of paying money, tax the money that people are getting from these newly founded jobs. Overall, if there are more jobs in the United States, there is more money in circulation, which means that there is more money for the government to tax, which means that there is more money that can be gained that will go towards our nation's debt. These are just 3 simple ways that the government can make more money and help fight the monster that is our national debt. And these 3 ways are relatively simple for the government to enact. But no matter what way the government chooses, it needs to choose soon, for a global economic collapse is imminent, and unless we start doing something about it, it will happen. And once it does, there's almost nothing that we can do in order to stop it. In conclusion, our government and economic system is truly broken. For America spends way too much money that we do not have, but there are many plausible solutions to this large issue, whether it be a tax raise, actual spending cuts, or the creation of more jobs. Either way, the debt needs to be fixed before the world goes into economic collapse, and it is up to America to fix it.